Hello and welcome to the Bedrock edition of Minecraft on PS5. The vault door here can only be opened by using multiple keycards, all of which can be renamed. I'll show you how the door works and how to build it yourself. Here I've made a 2 keycard door. To give you an overview of the build, we have dispensers that feed items into an item filter that sends a separate signal to pistons that activate a logic gate in order to control the output and open the door. This is the external side of the door. There is a keycard reader and a reset button. Pressing the button will not open the door. Let's try the keycard reader by placing a random item in. Nothing happens. We can insert the first keycard. We can hear that piston activates but the door remains closed. The second keycard, once inserted, will activate the second piston and open the door. This means the keycards can be placed into the reader in any order. On the internal side we have a second keycard reader and an item return. Here I've remade the basic door layout ready for us to begin building the keycard reader. We will use purple concrete for temporary blocks. Start off with a dispenser and face it towards the interior of the room. Place 3 blocks next to the first in the direction you want your hoppers to run. Break out the block under the dispenser and place the first hopper facing into the next block. Place 2 more hoppers and then we need a hopper facing down. Put a block under the last block, then place a hopper facing into it. Below these hoppers we need 2 hoppers facing away from the dispenser. To do that, place a row of blocks, then place a hopper facing into the first block, then miss the next, and then place another facing into the last block. Again we need to come down, so place a block below, and then place a hopper facing down. The next row of hoppers needs to face in the opposite direction, so this time place a row of blocks on the other side, then hoppers facing into the new blocks. Again, place one, miss one, then place another. We also need hoppers facing down, so place blocks below and in line with the hoppers we just placed. Break the blocks out above and place hoppers facing down. Continue this with another row of hoppers facing down below this. A final row of hoppers will funnel any items towards the location for the item return. Start by placing blocks, then break a block and face each hopper into the next block. We need to think about the location of the item return and place blocks where required. This means we need 4 more blocks in this direction and then 3 more blocks towards the item return. This last block will be the bottommost dropper, so place a final block underneath this one. Now we can place the hoppers in line to the corner, then turn and face towards where the drop will be. Break out a last block and place the dropper facing up. We can remove these temporary blocks. Before breaking the rest, we can start with the keycard reader itself. Switch to the yellow blocks, Place blocks under the temporary blocks in line with the 2 columns of hoppers. Then break the temporary blocks. Place a block directly behind the first and one below. Repeat this L shape below and then break out the centre block. Add 2 more blocks behind, then drop down one and remove this block. Extend this by 3 blocks. Switch to a redstone comparator and place one facing away but adjacent to the hopper on the first block, then again on the secondmost furthest block. Then place a redstone repeater on the centre of these 3 blocks, facing away from the hopper. Then on this block below, facing towards the hoppers. Next, place a dropper facing up directly behind the furthermost comparator. Place some temporary blocks up to 2 blocks above the dropper, then place a block above each dropper. Break out the temporary blocks, then place a block diagonally above and behind. We need to place a dropper facing into the one below. Position yourself below and aim for the bottom of the block above. Next, get a slab and place on the bottom of the block. Place another below and break the first. Place 2 next to this and break out the middle slab. Next, get a sticky piston and place this facing up on the furthermost block. Then place a redstone block on top. Connect all of this with redstone as shown. Then we need a redstone torch placed on the block underneath these hoppers. Let's work on the item filter. Firstly, place one item in the bottom of each dropper. The comparator should get the signal from the dropper and activate the piston. In the hopper adjacent to the comparator, place filler blocks in the precise number shown. 1, 1, 1, then a stack of 18. The remaining space is for your first keycard. Place one copy of the keycard in that space. Because we have set the filter like this, it means only when you place your keycard in, it will give enough power to carry the signal to the repeater and activate the dropper and then the piston. In the hopper below, again place one copy of your keycard. Repeat this process for the second keycard. we can test the filter with a random item and then the keycards. Only when the keycards are inserted do the pistons activate. If we have positioned the hoppers correctly, all items should be in the dropper. We can now make the item return. Let's swap to the red blocks, and we need observers and droppers. Place a 3x2 rectangle from the hopper. It doesn't matter what direction you do this, but we want it to be hidden, and if we make it here, it will clash with the redstone for the door. Place blocks above, in the middle of the first row and the end of the second. Place a block below the middle. Now swap this block for an observer facing into the temporary block. The arrow will point towards the dropper, and if we break the temporary block, we will see a red dot. Replace this block and break out a block behind the observer. Place a redstone repeater facing into the observer, and in the same direction next to the block above. Place a comparator on the observer facing away from the dropper. Then connect with redstone. And test its working by placing an item in the dropper that should be spat out. Let's now extend the item return where we want it to return items. Place a row of blocks above the comparator. Then crouch place droppers facing up. Our last dropper needs to face inwards towards the room. Next, place observers facing into each block. You should see a row of happy-ish faces. Then above the redstone, place an observer facing up, then a redstone torch. Alternate between observers and redstone torches till level with the topmost dropper. Whether that be a torch or an observer, it doesn't matter, as long as it's level. Again, we can test this. To ensure the door opens only with all keycards, we need a logic gate. Switch to the blue concrete and place a block level with the slab and top dropper. Then place a 2x3 rectangle and one diagonally up from the middle. Place a redstone repeater in the middle facing away from the redstone block. Place a comparator behind the raised block and set this to subtract. Place a redstone torch behind the comparator and on the opposite side of the raised block. Then fill in the remaining blocks with redstone dust. Let's switch to the orange blocks and connect our door to the output. Let's test this as working and close the door. We will also require a keycard reader on the external side of the door. Place a dispenser and then a row of hoppers connecting into the existing row of hoppers. Finally, we can connect a reset button to the blocks above the droppers. Switch to the bound concrete and connect a row of blocks. Use repeaters to extend your signal as required and place redstone dust. Pressing this button will close the door but not open it. The keycard can be renamed using an anvil to boost the security of your keycard reader even further. The best thing about this system is that it can be expanded to have even more keycards. Simply add more filters and ensure each has a 1 block gap. The hard part is a logic gate, so I'll show you how to make a logic gate for a 3 keycard and then a 4 keycard system. Let's start with the blocks, with a raised block diagonally above. Place a redstone torch at the face of the raised block and at the back of the gap between the pistons. Place a comparator behind the raised block and set it to subtract. Add a repeater next to the torch and then fill the gaps with redstone dust. Extend the blocks here by 3 and then break out the 2 behind. Make a 2x3 rectangle and add a raised block diagonally in the middle. Again, place torches to the front and the back with a comparator set to subtract behind the raised block. Place repeaters either side of the torch and fill the gaps with redstone dust. The redstone torch will only go out when all pistons are activated, meaning the door would open. The pistons can be activated randomly, and we can test this. We will break out the redstone blocks to simulate a keycard in the system. When the last keycard is inserted into the system, the torch will switch off and the door will open. Now for 4 keycards, and to start with we need to duplicate the logic gate for the 2 keycards. Make sure the comparator is set to subtract. Adjacent to the raised block, come out by 2 and break the block behind. We now duplicate the 2 keycard logic gate one more time. Let's test by randomly breaking the redstone block as if a keycard had been inserted. Only when all keycards are in the system does the torch turn off and the door open. As a conclusion to the tutorial, let's take a look at the system in practice. I have a 3 keycard system. Perhaps the first thing you notice is the rather large amount of hoppers. This was a result of the location for the keycard readers and the card return to suit my build. As long as you route the hoppers in the correct direction, the system will work. I've also positioned the logic gate for 3 keycards under the item filter to make the overall build more compact. I hope this tutorial has helped you with your own creations and perhaps make your base one of the most secure in Minecraft. In the meantime, take care and I'll see you in the next video.